Innovation Season 3, episode February 3rd, 2023. We're covering strategic planning today. It's a lot of fun. We get to do some dreaming today, so that'll be interesting. And if you're already in your strategic planning with your business, there's still going to be a lot of useful information here. The how-to part is the execution. I think I can bring a lot of value to that. For the most part, last week we covered how to start your business, and we left a couple things hanging here. So we had the planning the next year, which is strategic planning episode, and imagine your best year ever. So those two activities are going to come into play here right out of the gate. If you want access to this slide deck, all you have to do is email me at definitive-innovations.com, and we'll get that over to you. Just put a note in the comment that you want the slide deck, or after I send the welcome email, then you can let me know that you want the slide deck. There is also a Google Doc that I'm using to keep notes for this program, and I'll make that available at some point in the future also. All right, so you guys ready for strategic planning? I can hear the grumbles. All right, it's not as bad as it sounds. You're going to get to do some dreaming today about your company and where you're going to go. And it can be fun. You are not going to finish this in one session. You shouldn't. When you build a strategic plan, you're going to want to get in front of other people, preferably your team, and you want a lot of opinions. If you don't have a team, get with somebody that you trust and share what your ideas are. Get as much feedback as you can before you get too deep into it. So go through it yourself, build it out as best you can, take it, share it with somebody that you trust, and then develop it again if you don't have a plan, if you don't have somebody to help you. Also, you can get on like Facebook and get into a group, but again, it's better if you have the trust built with that person before you start getting too deep into what you're doing. This is going to be the core of your strategy, so you'll see how it works. I put the definition in here. I grabbed this from a website. I didn't catch whose it was. I thought this summed it up in a nice, succinct way. Strategic planning is the ongoing organizational process of using available knowledge to document a business's intended direction. This process is used to prioritize efforts, effectively allocate resources, align shareholders and employees, and ensure organizational goals are backed by data and sound reasoning. Okay, that's the definition. Sometimes it helps to come back and refer back to this if you get lost. I always start strategic planning with the end in mind. All right, so we'll just get right into it and you'll see how that works. So define these are the steps we're gonna have to do today. Define the vision of the company, and I can help a little bit, but not a lot. This is your dream of the company. Then you're going to define the mission of the company. It's a little more task-based. We'll get into the details of it in a minute. Determine your core values. So you're going to have to define those yourself for your company. Define your current state, and I'll give you some tools to do that. You'll develop a future outlook. You'll brainstorm essentially, and keep with the knowledge you have of where the future is heading. Not so much for the long term, unless you have a good vision of that. But the near short term, definitely future outlook. Determine key strategic initiatives. Review what to focus on and what to stop doing. That's out of your initiatives. And then your execution plan. That's where I think a lot of the people fail at strategic planning. You need to break it down from the vision all the way down to daily tasks. And that's where I think a lot of people get lost. So don't get lost. Don't throw out the plan. I can help you get through the execution phase, and I'll do the best I can tonight. And then you're going to have a communication plan. That's who's going to be involved in the strategic planning and how you're going to monitor and control the plan once you initiate it, once you're in execution. All right, so we're going to get right into this. So the vision, mission, and core values, they're very personal. So I gave an example pulled off of a website with Microsoft's mission, vision, and values. So you had an idea of what Microsoft says about themselves. I'm looking for a document here. I just want to get this document ready for myself. All right. All right, for the vision, the time frame, I would use like a 50-year look. Nobody recommends that. No American company recommends that. 5 years, 3 years, they're short-sighted. I think in most of the strategic planning that you're going to run into, if you're trying to build this on your own, the companies tend to be very short-sighted. I prefer a much longer look. It'll help make sure that 10 years down the road, you don't end up in the wrong business. And I can give some examples of that. The vision, if you look at Microsoft's, is to create local opportunity, growth, and impact in every community and country around the world. So that's a tall order, right? And I think it should be. It should be something that is just barely imaginable. Unless that's not your vision. If you're doing a daycare in your home and, you really probably don't need too much strategic planning. But if you eventually want to get into, if your dream is to get into a building and grow it, then you're going to need strategic planning. If you're already at where you want your business to be at, there's not a lot of value add in doing this. So this is the gap where you want to be and where you are now. That's the whole idea of this process. All right, so you've defined your vision of the company long term. Okay. So what you and your company aspire to be? All right. What's the dream? And pick something really big. Really big. All right, define the mission of the company, corporate strategy, purpose, the why. Some people say, so this is your mission. So Microsoft's was to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Well, since it's Microsoft, that's not too far-fetched, is it? So you need why. What's your purpose for doing this? To deliver value to business and business owners by building community and delivering operational excellence. That was an example that I had. By providing the why, how, by providing consulting and training products in the areas of operational excellence to improve their effectiveness, things like that. So something a little more focused on how you're going to do it, or how or why you're going to pursue this vision. And then the core values are the core of it. So Microsoft here has 6. Most people typically recommend 5. I don't see anything wrong with having 6. These are the guiding principles for employees and for policy molding. So these are the things that you're going to stand firm on. Honesty, integrity, creativity, kindness, things like that. So, they're traits, basically. Things that your company is going to enforce. And this is like your culture. It's going to become the basis of your culture. It's not too hard when you're a one-man show, but as you grow and develop your company, you want to have these core beliefs because they're going to help you in your decision making long term, and also how you handle employees and things like that, how you operate. They will guide you and guide your managers. So the core values I would spend a lot of time on. The mission, I think, is pretty critical. Almost like your taglines. So your mission, and you can be flexible with this. You can come back and change it if your business changes over time. These are not set in stone. But the vision typically won't change too much. That's pretty much the dream state. Once you figure it out, it's pretty much going to stay the same. All right. So now you have to define your current state. This is going to be way too hard from my seat. You're going to have to do this. Looking for my dashboard here. All right, so you're going to need your current state. What people recommend is to use a SWOT analysis, which is a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats chart. Or you can just do Excel. You're going to have to analyze this, and it's going to be very personal to your company, so I can't help too much from afar. If you want to send me... if you want to set up a call or something and we could talk about this more in depth, I'm glad to help you with it. It's just really hard to do without knowing where you're at. You have to be very specific when you're getting into these. So I put some general ideas in here so you would have something to work with. Your strengths are your competitive advantage. What makes you better than your competitors? Why should people do business with you as opposed to somebody else? So those are your strengths. It could be software innovation. You have better software than somebody else. It can be that your customer service is number one. You excel at customer service. So it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It can be a cultural behavior, whatever sets you apart. Weaknesses is the same, but it's the same but opposite. It's your disadvantages compared to your competition. Maybe they have a bigger community. Maybe they're doing things faster, cheaper, better than you. And you really want to isolate those differences. You need to gap to your competitor as much as you can, unless you don't have a competition. Maybe you're in a small town and you're only doing a local business and you're the first computer shop set up or something. It's a lot easier if we have an example. Opportunities are external elements that promote your success. So think of policy changes or things like that. Cars going to, EV cars or something. And if you're in that business line of you're sourcing or supplying something in that product line, what laws and rules and things that could potentially boost your business. And we can get into a little more detail than that. The threats, external elements that endanger success. So these are the things that could go very wrong. If you're in the gasoline engine business for cars and laws are passed that that it's no longer allowed, so that would ruin your dream if you wanted to be the next Henry Ford, right? Well, with a gas engine. So you got to think about a lot of different things, and there's a list in here somewhere of the categories. That right here. Here's some of it. So you're going to once you have your current state where you're at in the market, you want to look into the future. Near time future is fine. 1 year outlook, 2 years outlook if you can do that. It's kind of hard to determine where the threshold for that is. But you're going to do a complete a thorough assessment of sourcing companies, competition, and the industries you serve or that you want to serve, because we're talking about the future. So if it's in your 1 year or 2 year plan, 3 year plan, you need to really hone in on those markets and start studying them, especially if they're sourcing to you. So if there's something in your product that you're getting from somewhere else, your t-shirt manufacturer, and you're importing all your raw materials from overseas or something, you need to know that industry also. So don't just say, well, I'm just looking at t-shirt manufacturers. You need to know the source, any sources that feed your business. The competition is always an ongoing thing. If you have more than one person on your team, I recommend that you task them out to be that competitor. So if you have like a 3 or 4 person team, each person stay abreast of a specific competitor or who you want to be like. They don't have to necessarily be your same size. They could be who you're trying to go after. And monitor what they're doing. Mimic what they're doing. If they're like a mentor company that you aspire to be like. And then that way each person can kind of have a piece in that. When you get into meetings, they can play those roles for you. So that's very helpful information there. And then the industries you serve or will be serving. So don't forget, if you're going to expand into a new market, horizontal or vertical, then you need to make sure that you're paying attention. I guess more vertical than horizontal, because it would be the same market, it's just different products. But definitely be thinking about, well, it's not just today. You're looking at the future, and it's the things primarily outside of your business, because you're going to be aware of your own weaknesses. We just did your own strengths, weaknesses. So that's your internal pieces that you need to pay attention to. What trends and challenges and changes could impact your future? You just think of technology here. I mean, it's pretty obvious that if you started a CD company, you would be done. So it's just, you need to be paying attention to what is going on and where is the market moving. How's that going to impact you? Be sure to think about society and take that approach and go through those companies and think about it from the society aspect. Look at it from your customer's perspective. Look at it from a political perspective. Look at it from the economy as a whole. Look at it from technology. How is that changing? And industries. And kind of go through this exercise for each of those and just spend a lot of time thinking about it. It will not hurt you to continuously do this activity. Keeping, even if you spent 1 day a month or something just looking for new technology and things like that, you might be able to jump in and get the opportunity side of it. So you should always keep some knowledge and awareness of what's going on at a minimum. But at least when you do your strategic planning, go through all of these, and it does take time. If we have some examples come in, we can go ahead and look into how we would go about doing that. All right. So when you're going to determine your key strategic initiatives. So you have your vision, you know where you want to be, your dream state. You've defined some of your other pieces in here, your mission and your core beliefs, core values. You know your weaknesses and your strengths, so you got through your SWOT. Now you've done an assessment of what the future is going to look like, so you should have a good grasp of what you shouldn't do based on future outlook. If there's something something major that's going to endanger your business, so you don't want to go that road. But you're going to develop a deeper view of the desired state. All right. So one of the ways I would do this is, are there stages of growth that are normal for you to understand? So I'll use consulting. It's easy for me. So you're a single person, you're consulting and teaching from a home office. The next stage of the company would be to move into an outside facility, potentially, if that's your vision and goals. And then after that, it's to move into an even bigger space, right? Now have multiple people working in that consulting firm. And then from there, maybe even moving into a whole story of a high rise or something like that. And then the next stage being taking over the high rise, right? So if you think about it in stages, somebody asked for dance studio examples. Okay, so you're have a dance studio potentially in your house doing yoga or things like that. The next step would be maybe a brick and mortar. I'm not sure if it depends on how your vision is. If it's personalized one-on-one, then, that's slightly different story. But then there's a stage where you're going to have other people helping you. So that would be another stage. And if you think about it that way, then it's easier to break these down. Okay? So you have the overarching vision. How do you get there? And that's what we're looking at. What things do you need to do to get there? So deeper view of the desired state. That's your vision. Tell the story. Imagine the vision. This was from a refresher training I took with Meredith Powell. She had a lot of good things to say about this, and some of the framework here that you see was from her training. It's all pretty generic, but she brought up a couple words that are definitely used in here. Tell the story, imagine the vision. So if you were telling me about where you're at right now, who your competition is, where your weakness is, what are your threats, and then what's the next steps, okay? Tell me what is your business increased? Do you have more customers? Do you have different markets? So we used to, going back to this dance studio, it's good. It's good for creativity to really think of something outside of the box like that. Are you going to now teach, jazz dance or ballroom dancing? You're going to add a yoga class, things like that. So is it different markets? Are you going to expose your business to a bigger customer base? And some of that will come into play when we do a marketing session also. What will be different? I could think of I will no longer be in a home office, right? So that would be a difference. What kind of changes are going to be different in the state? The next step, not the full-blown vision. What will be accomplished before you get there? Well, hopefully you did everything from last week's training and you got your business license and you got your bank account and you did those things, but maybe some of those things are your accomplishments. That's okay. What will be the impact of your strategy? Potentially, if you're in the beginning, you're going to be making small ripples into your community and society. As you get larger, your impact's going to grow, obviously. So think about that. What will you no longer do? It's a really important thing. Don't forget to do this when you're doing your strategic planning. You may have to drop some product lines. You may have to stop doing yoga classes and focus on, whatever else you're doing. So that way you're maximizing what worked well. What will no longer happen? For me, that question is more cultural. We're going to spend longer time hiring so we don't have retention issues. So we have less HR issues. To me, it's more culture. If you embed core values into your program, into your company, it could help with employees and employee issues and things like that. So what will no longer happen if you accomplish this change? Oh, your dog won't bark and run through the room when you're on calls. That would be a change. That would be something for me that will no longer happen. All right. So you should have a vision of where these steps are going. What these are like the mini step, right? Maybe at the end of a year. What is this? What do these things look like after a year time frame? All right. So now you're going to go back over those things and determine what do you want to focus on. And I put it in here again, what to stop doing. This is the time when you decide to pivot or change direction. This is exactly when you do that. Get focused on what key areas you will prioritize. So if you're expanding into new markets, you want to get that done, right? Because it would be a big growth opportunity. So that might be more important than some of your lesser goals. I'll just leave it at that. But you need to get focused on what areas you think are going to get the biggest bang for your buck. Then you're going to get into the execution plan. All right. So now you have the vision. You've identified where you want to be in a year. And now you need to get to there. Right? So how are you going to close that gap? This is where I can offer a lot of value to you. I think a lot of people fail at this step. It's hard to do it. Hopefully the way that I explain that helps. If you're trying to bite off the whole step at once, I'm going to go from here to a high rise. Okay, I got this vision. How do I get that down to something that I can hold in my hands and deal with? And that's where you get that 1 year. What is the next stage of your business? So from home office to a building, maybe if you're doing landscaping, it's getting that second truck or third truck. And so what does that look like? Oh, okay. Well, that's small. And so you can deal with that, and we can design a plan of action to actually get there. All right. So you need to break it all the way down to like daily tasks. All right. So you want to when you're doing goal planning, and this is going to come up over and over and over again. Whenever you're designing a goal, you need to be what they call it SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So it's just the acronym for SMART. And so whenever you give a goal or assign a goal to somebody, make sure that you check it against that. Did I give them a timeline? Is it realistic? Is it achievable? Do they have the tools and resources? Is it measurable? A lot of people fail on that when they do a goal. You can't make a goal of improve customer satisfaction if you don't measure customer satisfaction. How would you do that? You'd do a poll. That's an easy way. You could also monitor the complaints, things like that. But you need to be measuring something. You need to know when you achieve it. If you don't assign a measurable, you won't know that. And be specific. So target a specific thing. Don't be general. All right. Then we get down to the communication planning. All right, so we got through that stuff pretty fast. There's more that I can do on the execution side, helping with that. I'll give you a tool called a rail. And I can make that available to you also. It's not difficult. I'll show you how to build one real quick. So we're doing good on time, so we're gonna go ahead and do communication and control plan. You really need to have a communication plan for your business. Okay. Now the key thing to remember when you're doing communication planning is information. When you're done, it must be able to flow. Sorry if my keyboard's really loud. I know that. It's a gamer thing. Information must be able to flow both directions. So I've seen communication planning where it's really good on the dissemination side, telling your people what to do, but not good at gathering the feedback from the floor. And so make sure that you have a method for your employees to give you feedback back. Again, when you're a one-man show, it's not that critical, but you do need some things in here. Okay, so we could do a whole episode just on communication planning. Maybe we will down the road. But essentially, you need to know your meeting schedule. All right. So maybe you meet with your CPA, lawyer. So these are your team members. Potentially your partners. So those are your subcontractors. The frequency should be determined by them when they need it or when you can afford it. Your partners, if they're not in the business, potentially, I would say no less than monthly. You should be doing some kind of report. Monthly operational report is what I refer to it as. And even if you don't have any partners or anyone to report to, I suggest building one, and we can go into that in plenty of detail later. Okay, so typically you're going to do, I'm just going to take partners off of there. So you want to plan for how you're handling your subcontractors. And these could be your assistant, anything like virtual assistant and things like that. I guess people that don't report to you. Monthly operational report. Obviously, you should do a quarterly. This is questionable. Business review or operational report. You should be doing, I'm going to use this term, key account management program had a customer in here, so don't steal anybody's word. I did not look it up. So key customer account management program. This should be, it depends on your customer and the frequency. You want to stay in touch, but you don't want to be annoying. So different customers might have different intervals on this. If you have a customer and you can just ask them, how often would you like a review? And then you can give them their deliverables and things like that. Basically, it's an operational report just for them. Helps build a relationship. Also will lead to more work with that person, potentially. This isn't really for just strategic planning. These are things that these are normal meetings that you would be having. General communication planning. So tier meetings is something I'm a big fan of. This is more for production floors and things like that. Essentially, you just need to make sure that whoever's doing the work, the lowest rung on the ladder, if you will, of your company, if you have a couple levels, I don't know, you want them to have a meeting. Then one of those people or their supervisor who will attend their meeting will attend the next level's meeting. So if you think of like layers in a building, that's how I think of it. I think about floors in a building. The ground floor are the people on the shop floor getting the work done. The supervisors of the people on the floor, they go to the next floor, which is where the department heads are. And then the department heads send a representative up to the executive offices. Okay, just that's how I think of it. And it depends on how big your company is, how many different tiers there are. If you're under 10 employees, this could be done all at once. In just having one tier meeting. This should be daily, but not less than weekly. I'm sorry, not more than weekly, not greater than weekly. So it should be daily. You can do it once a week, but I wouldn't. Bi-weekly is a little scary. It depends how many employees you have. I can handle 20, and I can do it bi-weekly or even longer. But it requires a lot of involvement. So you have to basically do one-on-ones daily. So you're running around doing that. So just it depends on your work structure. One-on-ones, these are typically bi-weekly. And that's where you're going to meet with your individual supervisors or employees and give them an update and some feedback. Okay, so why did we do that? Because if we're going to add in any communication plans for strategy sessions, we want to try to use one of these standard meetings. If you make a separate meeting for everything, you're going to end up with too many meetings. So when these are standard meetings to have. So say you wanted to do a financial review of your strategy plan or something like that, you can throw strategy updates into the monthly report if you need to. You can add them into your one-on-ones. So every 2 weeks you're getting feedback from those people because you're far removed from what's going on. If you're in the weeds with the employees, because you're a single person operation, you might be able to get away with quarterly. Just every quarter, you pull out your strategy plan and see how you're doing, knowing that you're already applying it every day. So it's really going to be flexible as to when, especially if you start seeing goals slide. If you're losing focus, increase the awareness, increase the meeting frequency. All right. And the information must be able to flow both directions. So a report is typically only one direction. It depends if you're briefing the person. QBR is very similar. You may get everyone together. It depends how big your organization is. Key customer account management. This is for your bigger customers, but it's definitely a two-way meeting. It's an in-person meeting. Tier meetings, these are in person, so these allow communication flow up and down. And then the one-on-ones are obviously personal one-on-ones, so that's a great place to add a strategy goal or update. All right, so when you get into the strategy planning side of this, you need a RAIL. Now, what RAIL stands for is Rapid Action Item List. So I'm going to move this over here. I think that'll work. Let's see if I have one here. Okay, so here is a RAIL. Get this positioned correctly. Just playing with some columns here real quick. I guess I could have cleared that out first. So it's just you can just use any Excel sheet. It's not critical. You will see me use something like this a lot. All right, so there is project management software and things like that you can use for this also. So typically you'll have a department or a way to categorize what you're doing. You may call it a goal. That's kind of an eye chart, isn't it? Let me make that bigger. It's not Excel. Where is it at? Format. I don't use this very often. That's pretty big. Oh, it's bigger. Okay, so you have I'm going to look back at our list of things. So we have an action plan. We are trying to do increase business, different markets, offering benefits. What will be different? So a strategy goal might be to increase increase customer base. And you can change what these are called, so it doesn't have to be the action step there. It can be the goal itself. You can change any of these. So I like to put these steps in. So basically you merge these cells, and then that way you can put the actions under here. We're going to establish a presence on Twitter. Okay, and then you go, okay, well, how do we do that? Well, we need to create an account. Maybe it's a paid account. We need to get approval for or from finance, accounting, whatever, however you want to call it. All right, so you assign a date or a date either assigned what's the barrier step? Oh, we got to get approval from accounting. Status. You can go awaiting 5. Can you tell it's late? So it's awaiting step 5. Technically it's index number 4. Give yourself an index number in case this gets messed up on you. You can always put it back in order. The index on Excel or Google Sheets, I'll move this over so you can see it. They're off by a number. The purpose of this index column is so if anyone uses your sheet and accidentally messes these up, you can put them back in order relatively quickly. All right, so we're going to establish a presence on Twitter. Now, that's vague. All right, what do you got to do that? Oh, we have to create an account. That's an actionable item. So remember, this is a rapid action item list. So you expect movement from these things within 24 to 48 hours. Things should be moving. So it's more aggressive than just a goal list where you might put establish a presence on Twitter. You're going to actually itemize out what needs to happen. And then give yourself a date. And you can put a completed date column in here too. I don't require one myself. Barrier steps. Form XYZ. Maybe you have to fill something out. Maybe you're not that big. Maybe it's just talk with accounting. So you should be able to go knock that out. Status in process. And then you can put expected completion date or something like that. And you could say this is going to be done 2/4. Or maybe you wait till Monday 5/6. So you get the idea there. So the key point is to have it broke down to tasks. What I often see from people is they will have like search better sources, better being price or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then this thing will be like 12, 15, 20, 22. And they never move, the action never gets updated. So you need to break it down into actual actionable steps. Call XYZ vendor. Or maybe it's, I can't call them. I don't know who they are. I need to research vendors. And then you're going to have to contact them or whatever. So watch when they're vague. Categorical things shouldn't be on your goal list. You need to get it down to the action. That way you can see the movement. And then if you're doing a software implementation of some sort, implement some kind of software. Okay, now that may require coordinating multiple vendors. You may have to bring systems down. So when you have a format like this, you can get into the details and help you with your planning, as opposed to having to have a whole project management software or things like that. And it's not, if you need to, you can have another sub-level in here in your document. So in order to create an account, I need, this information. Maybe you need the EIN or something like that. So this is a rapid action item list. I use this for all kinds of stuff. So I use this for when I'm looking up our topics and things like that. This is for our marketing course that we haven't taken yet. This is for this course here that we're doing right now. And then here's the example. And I have a few other things that I'm working on for you guys also. So that is a rapid action item list. Very helpful tool. I use it on a daily basis. See if I can get this size right. Close enough. All right. So that was episode 2, sorry. So season 3 and 2-3. All right. So we covered strategic planning today. If you want the slide decks or the example rail rapid action item list that we worked on, later we'll be giving out more tools like SWOT analysis and things like that. If you want those tools, go to definitive-innovations.com and subscribe to the newsletter. And through that, I will send you an email, and then you will be able to contact me and let me know, hey, I need that from, can you send me the slide deck, or can you send me the SWOT analysis we did on, whatever, some future show or anything like that. So, alternatively, it's Harold Meadows at DefinitiveInnovations.com. But I would like for you to go through the opt-in page. All right, so this is from our last How to Start a Business, the 20 Steps to Start a Business. And then we got into strategic planning today. We covered defining the vision, mission, core values, your current state, a future outlook, key strategic initiatives, reviewed what to focus on and what to stop doing, how to begin an execution plan, and a communication plan. So here was some examples with Microsoft and how they do their vision, mission, and values. Remember, vision is long-term, it's a dream. Mission is the how and the why. When you get into your current state, use your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Develop a future external outlook. Continue to do this. Do not just do this once a year. Even if you have to schedule a meeting with yourself, go over this continuously. Stay abreast of the industries you serve and that are sourcing to you. Determine key strategic initiatives. Remember, when you're getting to your initiatives, you're looking at a shorter term outlook. Think about, my business is at this state. Maybe I have 3 employees and I want to get to that next building or the next truck. I'm in a home office and the next step for my business is this. So if you think about it in a smaller aspect, it'll be way easier than looking at the big vision. Just make sure that whatever you're doing supports that vision. Once you have some initiatives in place, determine the key areas you want to focus on. In the end, you want 3 to 5 strategic goals that you're going to focus as a high priority. You can work on other goals, but you're going to focus on the top 3 to 5. Those are the ones you need to move in order to get the growth. And then you're going to get into an execution plan. We discussed how a rail works, and it's nothing more than that. It's a fancy goal list in Excel. You can build your one yourself, or I can send you examples. And then remember, you're going to need this communication plan for other things that we're going to be doing. So this is kind of good that we had the time to hammer this out a little bit. These are normal standard meetings that you would have. You don't have to have them. So you may pick 1 or 2 of them that you do. But as your company grows, you're going to start adding these in. These are very standard type meetings. All right. So thank you for tuning in to Definitive Innovations, February 3rd episode. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, tuning in. If you have ideas or anything you want for the show, reach out, and we can use your example even as we build out our next one. I think our next training is, it's going to be Friday at 9, next Friday at 9, and so the 10th, and I think we're covering financial planning. So how to set up your books and start going down that direction. You have a business established, you're working on your goals, you should have your strategic plan, at least in Jello, by next week. And so now you're going to start having to take action on those individual goals. And we need to start make sure our budget and our books are in order. So get the bank account squared away, and we'll start breaking that down. We're not going to use QuickBooks or anything. We're going to do everything homegrown. So I'm not going to dump you into software and just say figure it out. If you have any questions, feel free to shout out definitive-innovations.com. Subscribe to the newsletter, and that will open the door for the communication. You can also just throw it in the chat. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good day, everybody.